Like this pretty sweet. That's what that says. No, because they're speakers.
Oh, yeah, but not here for now.
I don't know.
Yeah, we watched it yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, my daughter. Give a ride. Yeah, that's what I'm about. It does seem to that. It's in the I guess they did. You can bounce it. You went to lovely stuff. This one translates I don't forget and I said that you guys know that this is Julie, this is really catching a lot. Yeah, you just keep us they have been recommending this. It says that one of this is a and then I just so that would take some time. Oh, okay.
It's grayed out. Oh, actually, hold on. Test. Okay, I think I'm picking something up now. Yeah. I'm gonna start testing it. Yeah, I think it's green now. I'm gonna call you back to let you know. We're gonna test it. All right. Thank you so much. You're probably gonna hear me. Turn the volume all the way up. Thank you. Test. 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 Mic 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 test. Again. Mic. Mic test. Mic test. afternoon, everyone. I'm Jomi, and on behalf of our family, thank you for being here today to remember and honor my brother Joff. Today is a chance for us to reflect on his life, the memories we shared, and the ways he left his mark on each of us. Your presence and support mean a great deal to our family. In a few moments, we'll begin an opening prayer and a reading. After that, I'll share a tribute to my brother's life, and then we'll hear from several family members and close friends who will share some of their own memories. After the service, you're welcome to stay for a bit, talk with our family and amongst each other. There's food downstairs as well, and spend time together, just like how my brother would love it. Thank you again for being with us today. To open us for prayer, I'd like to welcome my brothers Nino, our godfather, Uncle Pete.
Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we are just so very thankful for this time that we're able to spend together. Father, we thank you for your blessed Son, Jesus, that died for us on the cross. As we remember Joseph and the life that he had on this earth, Father, and how he touched all of us, we're thankful that we're able to come together to celebrate his life, Father. We thank you for just allowing us to be together, and I pray that you'll continue to just fill our hearts during this difficult time. We do thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. I'd like to lead us now in just a moment of silence, just for us to reflect. I'd like to now call on Rona to come and do a reading for us.
Hello. Oops. Hello, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Rona, or Tukuya Joff, Roro, or Little Sister. I am Joff's sister-in-law. I was asked to read a quote, but before I read it, I just wanted to share why it reminds me so much of Kuya Joff. If you knew Kuya Joff, you knew he loved food, but just eating food. Great. Not just eating food, but everything about it. He knew the good places to eat, the places worth trying, and the places that had a great story behind them. He was always looking things up, sending suggestions, or talking about the next place we should try. That was one of the ways we connected. We could talk about restaurants, celebrity chefs, cooking shows, cooking competitions, and food like it was our own little language. It was something we both loved and something I will always remember sharing with him. And anyone who knew him also knew he loved Anthony Bourdain. He had all his cookbooks, watched all his shows, and really understood the way Bourdain saw food, travel, people, and life. So it only feels right to share a quote from him today. Anthony Bourdain once said, "Travel isn't always pretty. It isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it hurts, it even breaks your heart. But that's okay. The journey changes you. It should change you. It leaves marks on your memory and on your consciousness, on your heart and on your body. This quote reminds us that life is a journey that is not always easy. And sometimes it brings pain where we are never really ready for. But even through that pain, the people we love leave something behind that stays with us. We take something with us, and hopefully we leave something good behind. Kuya Joff left us so many good things behind. He left love, laughter, beautiful memories, and a lasting impact that will always stay with us forever. I love you, Kuya. You can get some rest now, because you've spent 39 beautiful years taking care of everyone around you. And now we can take it from here. Don't worry, Jomi and I always got us.
I'd like to say a few words about my brother. Um, I'm pausing because I just wrote his best man speech about a year ago. But I'm so glad I got to. I'm so glad that my brother and Monique gave me the chance to just tell him how much I love him while he was still here with us. I've done a lot of speeches in my life, officiated a few weddings. Some of my cousins are here who I did it for. And that was just the honor of my life because I just love him the most. On to my brother. On a breezy New York's day in 1987, Jose Francisco Jofrank Cubol was born in Manila, Philippines, to Nancy and Alicio. He came out after 7 months as a premature baby, about the size of a small Coca-Cola bottle. My mom told me that this morning. But it was fitting that Jofrank would arrive on Earth on January 1st, because this child would bring fireworks to every life he ever touched. 3 years later, another child would be born, this time on Holy Week. Jofrank, even at the tender age of 3, already knew it was his mission to protect this baby. His own mom and dad would only call him Kuya, or older brother, from that day onwards, because they wanted him to remember that being a Kuya is his responsibility. This baby would be his little brother. That baby is me. My name is Jomi, and Jofrank is my Kuya. He's my only Kuya. Some of my oldest memories with him include playing basketball on our Fisher-Price hoop that our dad got us. He loved that hoop. Spent hours on it. On his 7th birthday at McDonald's, when I've never seen more gifts in my life. So naturally, I had to open some gifts for myself, not knowing that that's not how birthdays work. I remember wrestling each other on our parents' bed when he would tell me how cool it would be for me to get the rock bottom and the people's elbow. I'm sure the signature moves by the rock. He would tear up the end of a sock and actually put it on his elbow and pretend to be like him. I remember a family trip to a resort in the Philippines when me and my brother would fly for the first time together. And when we discovered cable television for the first time, and that there's such a thing as a basketball hoop for swimming pools. Side note, he actually just got one a couple weeks ago. Um, we never got to use it together, but best believe the family will. On our trip back to Manila, while entering the plane, we said some nice things to the pilot with our childlike charm. And halfway through the flight, the stewardess went to our seats and asked if the two of us would like to see the cockpit. We saw all the buttons and lights and gizmos with the horizon of the night sky up ahead. It was the most mesmerizing thing the two of us had ever seen while he was holding my hand. Lastly, in 1998, 20-year-old NBA sensation by the name of Kobe Bean Bryant visited the Philippines for a basketball exhibition inside SM Mega Mall. Thousands of people came to watch, and I went with my dad and my brother, and we found a spot on the fourth floor of the mall where we can peek over, just barely seeing Kobe's afro below, but we could still make out the finesse of his movements. This was when we became Kobe fans for life. You see, everything I enjoyed as a child in my life, I enjoyed alongside my brother. We may not look alike or have the same demeanor, but we shared pretty much everything else. Our love for the Yankees and the Lakers, our love for sneakers, though he would far surpass me on that one. Our love for Kobe, our love for our cousins, and everything else in between. And because I had an older brother whom I knew would protect me from others, I felt invincible. That's how my brother Joff makes people feel. That you were never alone. That against the world, someone would always have your back. That you were always strong because he was always there. Sadly, I feel invincible no longer. And I don't think I'll ever get that feeling again. In our tween years, as our bodies started to mature and our testosterone spiked, like any other set of brothers, we sometimes fought. Okay, we often fought. To our mother's huge displeasure. This wasn't because we didn't like each other. We actually quite enjoyed each other's company. We were together all the time. But at the time, we just disagreed over the smallest things like whose turn was it to use the TV? Or the volume level blasting from the Sony Walkman while someone's trying to sleep? Or how long someone can use the bathroom for? Typical brother stuff. But over time, as we got older, we outgrew our differences. And we realized there were only two of us. He only had one brother, and so did I. After all, there is no one else who has known him or me truly at every stage of our lives than each other. We were roommates for 18 years, navigated life as immigrant teenagers in the United States together, and adjusted to life in Yonkers, New York, which is night and day to life in Manila, Philippines. We had to help each other because we had no other choice. And we had to give each other grace because each of us knew life was difficult for the other. When we moved to New York in 2004, My brother Joff had to take the bus an hour and a half each way to go to community college, and he had to acclimate to high school life in the United States. He had to figure out how to be an adult early. Meanwhile, I got to go to gym class. Looking back, it wasn't much of a comparison. My brother Joff had to raise himself quickly, make mistakes with nothing to fall back on, teach himself as he's learning on the fly, and he had to fend for himself because he didn't have an older brother who had similar circumstances to his. I mentioned this on my best man speech for him, but he would eventually take odd jobs as a young person: hotel doorman, sneaker salesman for Models, a security guard for the Domino Sugar Factory. I saw him work overnight for weeks, barely getting any sleep. I saw him wake up at 4 in the morning every single day and travel hours each day so he could find a way to support himself. I saw him do this instead of getting to enjoy his youth like most other people would at his age. I'm sharing this to say that my brother had nothing handed to him, ever. And yet, through a tough life, a life that would make others crumble or harbor resentment, it did not harden my brother. He had some bad days and dark times like anyone else, but his experience taught him it's not the jobs themselves that mattered most, it's the people, it's the relationships, it's the friendships, it's how you make someone else feel. And he carried his life that way every single day. My brother Joff was incredibly loyal and utterly selfless, almost to a fault. If you're someone he sees as a good person, no matter how flawed you might be, he would grant you that loyalty. He would do this for someone he met on a basketball court, or someone that works in his apartment building, to a family member he just met. This is why he took things so personally, because he did this, not for him or because he needed anything from you, but rather he wanted you to feel seen, feel cared for, feel like someone gives a damn about you in this world. He was someone who never hesitated to say, I love you. He lived with his heart open to everyone, reminding you, reminding all of us that that we were safe with him. He embodied being a kuya, or older brother, so deeply, so personally, that while it may have started as a responsibility, it eventually became his identity. He felt like he was put on this earth to care for others, to put others before himself all the time. He didn't just do this for me, but he did this for his cousins. He did this for his friends. He did this for his coworkers. He did it for his family, including aunts and uncles and ninongs and ninangs. All these different people came here this weekend, yesterday and today, and traveled far and wide for my brother, who loved so much like his life depended on it. We could only be so lucky to be as loved, but we cannot be so lucky to be so full of love like my brother Joff. That one doesn't come natural to all. He was gifted with this, yes, but more than that, he treated every single day as an opportunity to love more. Among his wonderful traits and good looks, I'm sure this loyalty and selflessness was something his wife Monique found alluring in him. I'm sure at first it felt like, why is this man doing too much? Until you realize my brother Joff had a different standard. He is a different standard. Too much for everyone else is his normal. And Monique, I know you say you're the lucky one. Kuya was also incredibly blessed with you. He was born to radiate love. But having you in his life, having you in our family's life, made his love more like a supernova, beaming endlessly. As someone who's known him his entire life, I can say this without doubt, and he would absolutely agree with me. I thank you, Monique, and we love you so much. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that I'm beyond blessed and honored that the two people I love most in this world, my brother and Rona, didn't just get to meet each other and spend years together, but they were able to create a bond so pure they felt like two peas in a pod. They're practically the same person in so many ways. With their love of food and cooking, their playful humor, their ability to bring warmth to any room that they're in, my Kuya Joff became a Kuya to her as much as he was to me. And there's absolutely nothing more that you can ask for as a brother. As I stand in front of everyone here today, I know we are all deeply saddened by the passing of my brother Joff. We are all grieving with shock and pain and sorrow, and we will for quite some time, for a very long time. I know for a fact that I will never be the same again. I don't know what it's like to not have a brother who will pick up the phone anytime I call him, or text me to ask me and Rona to come over for dinner, or send me Instagram messages about basketball every single day. But what he leaves behind is a life that was lived with so much joy and laughter, filled with the happiest memories, the most amazing meals, the warmest of hugs. He may have left us so young, at the age of 39, and I would trade anything to get another day, another minute, another second with him, like everybody else in this room. But he got to live his life exactly how he wanted to live. Gifted as he might be in loyalty and selflessness, he chose to be that way every single day to those he loved. So every time you think of him, I ask you to channel my brother's spirit one way or another. Remember your own memories with him and how he treated you. To spread love far and wide as if it's an endless ocean. To see each other with compassion and genuine friendship. To not make things about yourself, but instead to make others feel like they're the most special person on earth. We celebrate and honor his beautiful life, but it's not just for these 2 days, but for the rest of our days. My brother Joff lives inside each of us. He may not be here any longer, but it doesn't change that we can call on him at any time. In fact, he would like you to, because that's who he is. We love you, Kuya Joff. We miss you like the sun misses the flower in the depths of winter. Watch over us. And we carry your legacy. Joffe Bean forever. Thank you. Next, my Uncle Pete would like to say a few words and give a message.
Thank you, Jomi. I'm sure Joe would be so proud to just be able to hear those words. My name is Pete, and I am the ninong of Joph at the wedding, the godfather. And as I think about Father's Day, I just ask myself, I wonder if Joph would have been a good father. And I know that he absolutely would. When I think about his attributes of being patient and kind, always listening, and most of all, encouraging and always willing to take time out, I know that Joph would have been a phenomenal father. So for those of you fathers out there, I want to say Happy Father's Day. In July of last year, we attended the wedding of Joph and Monique. And on this rug here, the very center picture is the suit that Joph was wearing as he had Nike in his hands and at that wedding. And I just wanted to reflect on that wedding for just a moment. On the wedding, we saw Joph completely in his element. Joph was so happy, he's smiling, and he's just there. And we saw that he sang to Monique that beautiful song, and he danced with his mom, he danced with Monique, he danced with his groomsmen, and then he danced with all of us. And as you've heard time and time again, Joph loved food. I made a mistake there that the appetizers, I thought that was the main food. And so I ate and I thought, okay, well, that's it. And they're like, no, no, no. That's just the beginning. Like, what? There's more food? And there was more food and more food. And then there was the dessert. And then the donut wall. Oh my goodness, that donut wall, it just blew me away. And I'm just looking at it, and I'm looking at him and goes, yes, go ahead, enjoy. And that's just who Joph was. He was so passionate. He loved food. He loved being able to just enjoy the party and just be able to entertain. And we just loved that. Jesus' very first miracle also happened at a wedding. And I wanted to read it for you. It's found in John, the second chapter. John, the second chapter reads, on the third day of the wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to Jesus, they have no more wine. Woman, why do you involve me? Jesus replied, my hour has not yet come. Jesus' mother said to his servants, do whatever he tells you. Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for the ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water, so they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, now draw some out of it and give it to the master of the banquet. They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water which had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then called the groomsmen aside and said, everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now. What Jesus did there in Cana of Galilee was the first of signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples would believe in him. As I think about that, just think how our Lord Jesus also just loved to see people be able to celebrate and to enjoy that fellowship that came at that wedding. And even though the wine was gone, Jesus wanted it to be able to continue. If you did not know, back then, the Jews, when they got together for a wedding, the wedding lasted for 7 full days. As I think of another story that I was drawn to, of a very joyful host. For those of you that know Joph was always willing to take extra time out. He would even take days off when you came to visit. He would taxi you all around, take you around town and show you his favorite places to eat and things to do. And that's just kind of the way Joph was. And so another story that I remember that also dealt with a person that ended up becoming an incredible host was Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was a tax collector, and in Luke, the 19th chapter, the story goes as follows. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through, and a man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was the chief tax collector, and he was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, he is gone to be a guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, look, Lord, here I now give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone out of anything, I will pay it back 4 times the amount. Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save that which is lost. Jesus turned his life around, and this is why Jesus came, to seek and save the lost. I bring the story up because Joseph was also a believer. Joseph, at the age of 11, was baptized in the very church that I met my wife in Lakewood, California, and he followed the Lord, and he would want everybody that's come here to celebrate his life. If you don't know the Lord, to also come to the Lord and be able to be with him as he's in heaven. Jesus also said in Revelation, this is Jesus speaking, says, here I am, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person and they with me. See, Jesus enjoys personal time with us and that communion, that relationship that we have. And that's exactly how Joseph was. When you think about Joseph, yes, he loved food, but more than loving the food was the time that he could sit down with us and share with us that meal and experience that together. Because that's exactly who Joseph was. He loved people. He loved to be able to share the experience and be able to take you to some of the best places so that you can enjoy that time together. As I was thinking about Joseph and I was thinking about heaven, I felt the Spirit say to me, what are we going to do in heaven? And I thought to myself, I said, well, there's going to be joy. There's not going to be any sorrow, any tears. We're going to be worshiping the Lord in heaven. And then I felt this prompting, and I think, well, and what? I don't know. And so I did some research, and in the very last book of the Bible, the very last chapter in Revelation 22:3, it says, no longer will there be any curse. The throne of God and Lamb will be in the city, and his servants will serve him. And I read that, and I read it again, and his servants will serve him. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, can you imagine us going into heaven, and there's Joseph with the chef's outfit on, and he's actually serving our Lord Jesus Christ and God the Father. And we look at this table, and this table has a chair, and that chair is for us. And we get to sit at the same table. And Joseph, if you look at the pictures, he has that infectious smile, and he smiles across from us and says, I've been waiting for you. Look at what I've prepared. And that food is going to be fantastic. And I know, and I look forward to the day when we are able to be with Joseph. So it's not goodbye. It's we'll see you later. And we will see Joseph in just a little bit for those of us that believe, and that we'll be able to see him being able to serve our Lord in heaven. What a glorious day that will be. There's a quote I would like to leave you with. It's by Eleanor Roosevelt. And Eleanor Roosevelt said, many people will walk in and out of your life, but only true friends leave footprints on your heart. And when I think about that, that's exactly what Joseph did. Joe, although his life was short of just 39 years, he left his footprints on our hearts because of what he's done. Thank you.
Next, we would like to invite a few people to speak. First one would be Mark.
Ooh. Uh, Hello, everyone. I'm Mark. Um, just to give a little background. Actually, I'm one of Joff's newer friends. I'm connected through Joff, more through Monique. So I'm Monique's co-resident. Um, I was her senior, and I remember I met Joff during COVID, and they were dating, and then Monique was like, sorry, I'll speak in Tagalog and then translate it to English. Nililigawan din kayo ni Jofrank. Then, meaning he's also trying to date us. So, and so I met Joff, and we hit it so smooth together. Like, I felt like we like sneakers, we like basketball, we love the Lakers. It's like, dude, Monique, he's not made for you, he's made for me. Uh, and then Monique told me to, hey, Mark, can you say some stuff tomorrow? It's like, are you sure? You know how I say things, right? So I'll say it how I think Joff would like me to say stuff. Um, if you go to a store, you'd, you've been to Etsy. If you have enough, you make your table longer, and then forget about your fences. Something like that. He always reminds me of that. Like, so during COVID was one of the toughest time of my life. I couldn't go home, and I was separated from my wife for 3 years. Then I met him with Monique, and somehow I felt I had the family here with Joff. Up to the point that so after I finished my stuff here in New York, decided to move to Cali for a while. They would come and visit Monique and Joff. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll drive down. I'm living in the middle of nowhere, California anyway. I'll drive down to LA, meet them. And they were like, oh, what's your plan? You're here for like a couple of days too, right? Yeah, because I'm meeting you guys, right? "Oh, yeah. I just need a day to meet a little family here and there, and then I don't know, I'll just maybe go around. I don't know what your plans are. That's what I told him. And Josh was like, no, just come with us. Just come with us wherever we're going. And then I don't know if you see the slideshow. There was one picture. Went around, take photos with the Kobe murals and all that. And by that end of their trip, I know I had 15 new titos and titas at that point. Like, and everybody who knows me knows that from Cali. Um, Joff connected me to a lot of people that somehow celebrated with me too eventually. When they met my wife also. You guys saw the baby yesterday. Saw Ellie and he's the godfather. Monique's the godfather. So he built that table for me. He brought, and I'm sure for everyone, he's he's made a table for everyone, connected you to someone that, hey, I've never will meet this person, will feel this sort of community without him, without Joff, right? So oh, the table is still there, and I value it for my life. I value it for my life. I don't think Joff wanted to leave the table. It's all so sudden for everyone. And I know I'll make this joke. It's a little dark, but I know Joff will love this joke. Um, Joff, I don't know what happened. I have a guess. I think in the afterlife, they made a raffle for a Kobe meet and greet, and you got lucky. That's my theory. Throwing throwing all my medical whatever. I just want to believe that's what happened. And you know, I'm sure in his new adventure he's having fun. And I'm sure he enjoyed that joke. And for us here, um, thank you, Joe, for you know sharing that table, making it longer for everyone. Um, I just want to share like a song in Filipino. It's a mass song because it reminded me of him too. Just to end. Um, I'm a bad singer, so but walang sino man ang nabubuhay para sa sarili lamang. Walang sino man ang namamatay para sa sarili. That's him. So in English, no one lives or die just for himself or themselves. He resonated that. So I know everyone's grieving. I'm grieving. Let's celebrate. Let's let's keep the connections close. Let's look out for each other. Because I think that's what he would want. Um, and you know, he left the table, but I don't think the party should end. We can continue the table. We can continue eating. We can continue sharing bread. We can continue sharing stories. And I think that's what would Joff want. So to everyone that's here in grief, thank you for coming, and I hope we look out for each other. we stay connected. Because I think at the end of the day, at the end of our lives, that's how we can honor Joff's memory. Thank you.
Next up, um, we would like to ask Jan to speak up.
Can you guys hear me okay in the back? Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Jan, one of Joff's oldest friends. I've had the privilege of being friends with Joff for over 17 years. Joff was a thoughtful man, to say the least. Just over a year ago, we were in Vegas celebrating his bachelor party. And after a night out on the town, got back really late. I woke up early the next day to go hang out with Joff in his suite. And while everyone else was sleeping or working, Joff was in his room working on his vows. He didn't go to sleep that night. He stayed up and he wanted to work on his vows. He wanted every word to be perfect, to express the immense love that he had for you, Monique. But that's just who he was. He never took his words or his love for granted. If he said it, he truly meant it. And I think as you guys have heard today, he said, I love you to a lot of you. For those that were at the wedding, you know he killed those vows. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. So on that morning in Vegas, instead of trying to give him advice on how to give a speech, because he was the real writer, we just looked back and started reminiscing about our life together. How we had our first love of basketball. He was the diehard Lakers fan and I was the diehard Knicks fan. We loved to play together. Whether it was at School 13 in Yonkers, playing at St. Brendan's, Fordham, House of Sports, playing as teammates on Team Westchester or the Raptors. We won a few games, but we lost a lot more. And Jerome, you were there every step of the way. We talked about how as time went by, we had drifted apart, due to life, kids, COVID, work, all the things that get in the way. We also talked about how happy we were that basketball brought us back together and that we are in each other's lives once again. One of the greatest nights of my life was actually last Saturday when the Knicks won the championship. And who was the first person to text me? It was Joff. And he was congratulating me, but I couldn't find words to say then. I cry a lot. So I sent him a picture of me crying. But what he said to me was, and this would be the last thing he would ever say to me, I love you, bro. I'm so happy for you. And now we are apart again. There was one quote that Joff and I had talked about that morning in Vegas because we had spent so much time together and maybe even more time apart. It comes from the great Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. Joff, you made us all feel so deeply loved, and we will never forget you. Rest in peace, my brother. I love you.
Next up, we would like to have Jeff.
Hello. Um, yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Can you guys hear me fine? Yep. Sorry, just need a minute. Yeah. So, so like everyone who knew Joff, knew he loved his shoes, like a Melon Marcus. He loved sports, especially his Lakers, and he loved cooking for his friends and family. His famous adobo and spaghetti will definitely be missed. But I got to see a different side of Joff. Um, I remember when I first time met him back in college, and he actually loved telling this story. We were at a bus stop when a car drove by, and there was a girl waving, and he thought she was waving at him, not realizing there was another person behind him. And the funny part was, Joff was just standing there and eating his sandwich. And according to him, I asked him for the other half, but to this day, I still don't remember that part. But that was his version. Um, but yeah, like it's crazy, like how a random moment like that became like the start of our like really good friendship. He's like my brother, man. And like after that, we would just hang out like almost every day, man, like almost every day. And at night, like we'll end up at this Dunkin' Donuts and just sitting there for like hours and hours. Just talking about life, our ideas, and how one day we're gonna take over the world. Man, we had so many crazy ideas and stuff that we wanted to do. And yeah, eventually one of those ideas became real. We started a magazine called Wika, and that's when I got to see a different side of Joff. Uh, Man, he's like one of the smartest people I've ever met. He was an amazing writer, storyteller. He just had his natural way of interviewing people and bringing out their stories. When we started the magazine, we had no idea what we were doing. We never ran a business before. We never built a company. But that was kind of like the beauty of it. Like we were just figuring everything out together and somehow making it happen. But then we started realizing that the stories we shared actually made an impact. I remember Joff and one of our interns wrote a story about a jewelry maker based in the Philippines. And after that article came out, people started calling her and messaging her because they found her through the magazine. And now she's doing really well. And that was the gift Joff had. But unfortunately, like a lot of things in life, things change. And we had to stuff the magazine. And just like life happened. I started traveling a lot too. And I'll be away for a few weeks. I'll turn into months, and months turn into years. But no matter how much time passed, how far Jeff and I, we always kept in touch. We always call, messaging each other. And throughout those years, we will always ask ourselves the same questions. When are we bringing the magazine back? I guess part of us always knew that the story wasn't finished yet. And just 2 weeks ago, we finally relaunched the magazine, and I was so excited to tell Jeff everything. How we finally have a proper team. There's a lot of events lined up, partnerships happening, and even potential investors. But I just wish you were here to see it. And it's definitely not going to be the same without you. But yeah, I mean, and I'm so glad you got to meet my kids, Nila and Koa, last year during your wedding. One day I'll tell them the stories about you, tell them their Papa met a legend who gave him half of his sandwich. But yeah, I mean, until our next crazy idea, and yeah, rest easy, Joff.
Next up, we would love to have Jerome.
Um, Good afternoon, everyone. So when Monique asked me to give this tribute for Joff, my first thought was that I couldn't do it. No. Not because I didn't want to, but because it's hard to find words for someone you love this much. And then I thought, if there's one last thing I can do for Joff, it's to be brave for him one last time. Maybe talking about Joff shouldn't be so hard though, uh, because everyone in this room already knows the kind of person he was. Um, every one of you has your own story about him, your own memories, your own reasons for loving him. And that's the thing that has stayed with me these past few days. Like just how many lives he touched, how many people he loved. I grew up with two sisters. I never had a brother. But somewhere along the way, Joff became the brother I never had. For as long as I can remember, if I wanted to hang out, I'd call Joff. If I wanted to play basketball, I'd call Joff. Some days we'd spend hours just shooting around talking about life. And looking back now, those ordinary afternoons were some of the best moments I've ever had. As we got older, life got busier. There was work, relationships, responsibilities, but somehow Joff was always in the picture. Whenever my wife and I would make plans, dinner, a trip, something to do on the weekend, I'll always end up saying the same thing. We should invite Joff and Monique. It was like second nature. That's how much they were a part of our lives. And I think that was Joff's gift. He had a way of becoming part of people's lives. Not in a loud way, not in a way that demanded attention, but in a way that just made you glad he was there. I think everyone here has their own version of that, a memory, a conversation, a laugh, some small moment that comes to mind the second you hear his name. Whatever that moment is, hold on to it. Because one of the hardest things to accept is that we all thought there would be more. Uh, more trips, more weekends, more phone calls, memor- more memories still to make. Because whenever I pictured the future, Joff was in it. I think a lot of us did. Uh, but today, I don't want to stand up here and just talk about the loss. I want to talk about how lucky I was. Lucky to have known him, lucky to have laughed with him, to have shared so much of my life with him. And most of all, to have been able to call him my friend, my brother. So thank you, Joff, for the friendship, for the memories, for all the laughs, for being the brother I never had. I'm gonna miss you, bro.
Next up, we would like to have my Ate Abby.
Good afternoon, everybody. Some of you may know me as Shai, because my real name is Shaila. For my family and relatives, they would call me Abby. For Kuya Jo, my name is Abita, and I'm his cousin, one of his cousins. Before I begin, I want to say that this is a tribute to Kuya. One of the things I admired most about him was his excellence in writing. He had a gift for putting thoughts into words and telling stories in a way that connected with people. So I stand here sharing my own memories of him. I hope to honor him the best way that I can. Um, he was not just my closest cousin. He was a big brother, a kuya to me. Being only a year older than me, we grew up more like siblings than cousins. We were fortunate that our family on our mom's side were very close. Our moms are sisters. And for many years, we lived in the same area along with our other cousins from our two other aunts. Growing up, family gatherings were a regular part of our lives. We would spend time at each other's homes, sharing meals, stories, laughter, and simply enjoying each other's company. Some of my favorite childhood memories include looking forward to playing with his Power Ranger toys. Back then, I thought it was really cool because they're like, nowadays we have Transformer toys. I also remember borrowing um, his Batman cartridge on the Game Boy because I only have the Tetris one, and Kuya would have like a lot of other games. I remember how also we would compete against each other in their family computer, the game of Wheel of Fortune. Those moments seemed very ordinary back then, but looking back today, they are the most treasured childhood memories I have with Kuya. One tradition that I would treasure and, is having Christmas in the Philippines. Our mom siblings, families would stay at our grandparents' house, whom we lovingly called Inay and Ama. Every year, we would go out and do mamasko. It's a tradition in Talon where children would visit family members and relatives to receive blessings, gifts, or Christmas money. I would remember how we would tag along Kuya and Jomi when it was our turn to visit my dad's side of the family. And this is something we always look forward as kids. After Christmas Day, we would continue celebrating through New Year's Eve and his birthday. Those days were filled with laughter, good food, and excitement as we would watch fireworks together. I'm super grateful to share those memories with Kuya. If you would ask our first cousins and relatives, they would probably remember how much we used to fight. I cannot recall what we were fighting about, but our moms or aunties would always say we were like aso at pusa, cats and dogs. I even remember asking him one time, why do I even have to call you kuya? You're just like a year older. He's this basically the same age as my classmates and friends. But like what the other people had mentioned here, he likes to embody the word kuya. And that's how it is in the family. It was a simple conversation, but he embraced how naturally he embraced the role of being an older brother. As we got older, life naturally took us on different paths. We didn't see each other as often as after they moved here to the United States. But I would really appreciate how Kuya stayed connected. We had Friendster back then before we got Facebook messages. We had Skype until, we connected through FaceTime. Whenever we talked, it was always a good catch up. It was comfortable, easy, and feel like we were simply picking up right where we had left off. Over the years, we both experienced our own challenges and triumphs. We knew most of each other's ups and downs. And even though we were far apart, he always made it clear that he had my back. Before you came, Monique, into his life, I knew the times that he wasn't truly happy. I used to tell him that I prayed he would find someone who would love him the way he deserved to be loved. So one day when he told me, Abi, may nakilala ako, I knew something was different and special. I was really happy for him because I could hear and see how happy he was and how much joy Monique you brought into his life. No matter how much time passed, he was still the same Kuya Joff I knew growing up. Someone who cared deeply about family, someone who listened without judgment, and someone who always made time for the people he loved. I know how much he loved their family, especially their kids. I remember when we only had Alicia, our eldest, and his goddaughter. He would always ask for pictures and videos of her. Years later, when we went here, he showed me how he kept those photos and videos I sent him because he said they meant so much to him. Even though we mostly saw him through FaceTime, his warmth, humor, and affection always came through. I know how much he loved our children, and I wish they could have spent time with them. Thank you for always making us feel cared and loved. You were such a great cousin, confident, and a big brother. I'll miss you, Kuya, and I love you.
Next, we'll have Kuya Alvin.
I'm speaking on behalf of Tito Jojo, Joff's uncle. Dear Joff, I'm so sorry that Ninong Myla, Chaisel, Brian, and I can't be there. But you know how very much we love you. I'm going to miss our phone conversations telling each other I love you, your smile, and most definitely your presence. Thank you for always being my side when I needed you the most. You always understood me and never showed anything but kindness and love. I'm going to miss you, my dear nephew. I love you so much. To Monique, our family is here to support you and will continue to love you always. Thank you for loving Joff so deeply. I will continue to pray for you, and please know that we love you very much. We are here for you. To my sister, Nancy, I am so sorry that I can't be there. My heart is broken, but nothing will ever change the love we have for you and Jomi. Thank you for raising Joff and Jomi with so much love and for being the best mother you could be. Joff is with Jesus in heaven. No more pain and sufferings. To my nephew Jomi, I love you just as much as I love your kuya. Always remember that we are here for you. We love you exactly as you are, and we'll always support you. I love you, Jomi and Kuya Ellie. Joff loves you very much, and I am sure he would want you to take good care of yourself. Please know that our love for you will always be there. With all my love, Tito Jojo, Tita Myla, Chaisel, and Brian.
Next up, I'd like to have my cousin, Ate Christina. Ready?
Whenever ready. Got this. Hello, everyone. Um, I'm Christina, and Joff would fondly call me Ate. Um, I remembered vaguely the day that Joff and Jomi came to my house, and my mom failed to tell me that they were moving in. So I was surprised. But, you know, little did I know that Joff and Jomi would become the little brothers that I never had. And I'm grateful. I don't have anything prepared because I'm pretty sure Joff has has great confidence in me to think of something. So here I am. Um, I have so many thoughts and memories with Joff. We were like two peas in a pod. We hung out all the time. I tagged along with him when he would go play basketball with his friends. And I can attest that when we were living together on the same floor, Joff would take forever in the bathroom. We shared love of sneakers, and I remember them moving up to the third floor, and all the stairs would have shoe boxes. And I too also had a bunch of shoe boxes, so our shoes all together could just basically become a footlocker. But he was the kind of guy that felt deeply, he loved hard, he went all in to everything and anyone in his life. And it was just so admirable to see him love everyone to the best of his capacity and do everything that he could to show that he loved you. He used to come to me for advice about life, about love, and probably the only advice that he had followed was to download Coffee Meets Bagel. And that's where he met Monique. And just as life would have it, our lives would change. I eventually became a mom, and life got hectic. And he met Monique, and that's history. You know, he's happy and in love. And it's unfortunate that the next time that I saw him would be here. But I knew that even though life was in the way, I knew he was happy, he was loved, and he was living his best life. And I was so happy that he found someone that he truly loved and was loved back. Because that's all he ever really wanted. He would tell me, Ate, when am I ever going to find love? And I'm so glad that he found it. I It's really hard for me to say bye, so I'm not gonna say it. I'll just see you later, whenever that is. It breaks my heart that he was not able to meet my son, but pressure's on you, Uncle Jomi. He was a great uncle to my brother's kids, and they were just always so happy to see Uncle Joff, because he was just the funkle. I will truly miss him and all the times that we shared and all the memories that I'll keep close to my heart. I love you, Joff. Till we meet again. I even wore my Kobe's.
I know. Shouts to my ate who wore her Kobe's today. Next up, we would like to have Tito Arnie.
Um, Good afternoon, everybody. um, so since we're the only immediate family that Monique has here in the East Coast, we had the pleasure of being one of the first ones in the family to be introduced to Job. Later on, we became their ninongs and ninang on their wedding. Here, we had the pleasure of being in the front row seats, not only for their wedding, but also being the front row seats of their love story for the last few years. Um, Now we're here. I would like to offer my sincere condolences to Job's mom and dad, Jomi, Rona, Nike, the rest of friends and family. We were so sorry for your loss. Today, my heart, our heart, are with my niece as she faces the loss no one should have ever endured. There are moments in life when word feels inadequate. This is one of them. How do you make sense of losing someone we love so deeply? How do we accept the life filled with plans, dreams, promises can change in an instant? One thing I know is that time is never enough when you lose someone you love. It doesn't matter whether you had decades together or just for a short year. When love is real, there's always another memory you wish you could make, another conversations you wish you could have, and another day you wish you could share. Monique and Joe build a bond that's filled with love, hope, and commitment. They look forward to their future together, believing that they would have many more years to create memories and fulfill their dreams and future together. The pain she feels today comes not only from losing a man she loves, but also from the loss of all the moments they are expected to share. While their time together was far too short, the love they share was not small. Love cannot be measured by numbers of years. It is measured by the life it touches, the happiness it brings, and the lasting imprints it leaves in our heart. To my niece, I want you to know that Job's life matters. His love for you matters. The memories you created together matter. Nothing can take those away. Though his presence is gone, the love you shared remains a part of you and will continue and guide and strengthen you in the days ahead. As a family, we grieve with you. We stand beside you. We will help you carry this burden of loss. And we will honor the memory of the man who brought love and happiness to your life. May we remember him not only in tears, but also with the gratitude for the time we were blessed to have him amongst us. May we find comfort in knowing that in life, that while life may separate us, love never truly leaves. His time with us was too short, but the impact of his life and the love he shared will remain with us forever. Thank you.
So we would love to have James and Jamie. Do you need your mics? Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie, the daughter of Grace, who will speak next. My mom was his ninang, or godmother, and they had a really special bond. I had a front row seat to many of the moments they shared together, whether it was watching cooking shows together, talking, cooking, eating great food, and laughing the whole time. One of the greatest gifts of my life is that because my mom loved him and he loved my mom, I was given something I never expected, the experience of growing up with an older brother, or kuya. My kuya Jof wasn't technically my brother, but he became one anyway. Over the years, he started calling me his little sister, and I felt so honored and lucky to have that title. He was a constant presence, even though we lived far apart. No matter where we were, between California, Kansas, Seattle, he'd fly out and keep us company. He'd spend several weeks with us in the summers. And because I'm an only child, there were a lot of days and nights where it was just me and him. We'd go on vacations and do fun things. But what I remember most from our relationship over all those years is just us sitting on the couch talking. We'd start a game, end up talking. We'd start a TV show and end up talking. We could just talk for hours. And even though there was almost a 10-year age gap with us, he never made me feel it. He didn't treat me like a little kid who needed to be entertained. He'd really share what was on his heart and ask for my opinion. He'd share an idea or a goal he had and ask about mine. I didn't realize until I was much older what a sweet gift that was to give someone so young. It built my confidence. It made me feel like my thoughts were valuable and mattered. When I reflect on our conversations, one feeling keeps rising to the top: safe. He became such a safe, trusted place for me to share. It's rare to find someone you trust so completely that you can bring them your most raw, unfiltered, emotional thoughts and never once worry that they're going to think less of you afterward. But that's how he made me feel. I talked to him about everything: the moments I was proud of and the ones I wasn't, my heartbreaks, my fears, my rejections, my failures. He was the one I called. And I could be totally honest about uncomfortable truths. All the times my issues were just my fault. Interviews I bombed because I didn't prepare enough, or recount arguments and fights where I knew I was in the wrong. But nothing I could say would shock him or ever make him pull away. He listened intently, without judgment, and with genuine curiosity. He had a way of making you feel so fully heard before offering any perspective. And when he did offer advice, it came with so much humility. He was so open about his own mistakes, his shortcomings, and the lessons he was still learning himself. I never felt lectured. I felt understood. I always knew he was on my side. And not because he ever blindly agreed with me, but because I never doubted his love for me. He was so encouraging. And after talking to him, life always felt lighter. One of my favorite conversations happened after a bad date in college. I called him venting, saying, I'm just going to take a break from dating. He listened, made me laugh a little, and then told me he had a feeling. Hang in there a little longer. His gut was saying the right person was just around the corner. 2 weeks later, I started dating James, my now husband. To this day, I don't know how he knew. He teased me about it often. Imagine if you just stopped. And when James and I married, Kuya welcomed him as another brother. He became James's Kuya too. A couple of years ago, when James and I moved to the East Coast of Florida, we finally lived close so we could visit each other more often. So he and Monique would come down to Orlando and we'd spend a few days going to Disney World and Universal Studios together. Which is kind of funny if you know him, because he really doesn't like the heat or crowds or rides. It was not exactly his perfect vacation. But Monique was having fun and I was excited to show him things, so he came. One afternoon, I looked over at him and he was just exhausted, just drenched in sweat. I jokingly asked him if he was still having so much fun. He smiled and genuinely said, "I'm having fun with you. I'd do anything to spend time with you." And then went, "Unrelated, is there somewhere we can go inside and have a drink?" He was funny and selfless. And he was generous. You never had to ask him for anything. He was always thinking about what you needed. One time I casually mentioned that I lost my AirPods a while back. The next week, a brand new pair of AirPods arrived in the mail. No fuss, no announcement. It came directly from the store and didn't even have a name on it. But I called him immediately because I knew it was him. He paid attention to those little details. One of my favorite examples of that is from his wedding. He asked me to read a poem that he had written for Monique at the ceremony. Everyone got to hear the polished, finished version, and it brought so many of us to tears. But I alone got to witness that process, the drafts and the revisions, the edits and the one more thing, the final touches, the final touches. Okay, Jamie, the final touches. What I remember was not his perfectionism, it was his devotion. He loved Monique so much that he wanted every word to be worthy of her. He approached his writing the same way he approached his relationships, with intention. And his writing went far beyond his family and friends. He pursued a number of personal projects as a journalist. As someone who also works in media and storytelling, I think often about how his optimism shaped me in my career. It's easy in our line of work to start questioning whether anything you create is making any kind of difference. We're faced with so much conflict and corruption and disappointment in the news, and it can wear on you and make you wonder if people are listening or if anything will change. But Kuya Jof always encouraged me. He never seemed to lose that sense of hope. He really believed that good stories could build bridges, preserve culture, and help people understand each other better. He cared really deeply about Filipino, Asian, and local New York communities. People think he was quiet, but he really knew how to network and build relationships, organize and bring people together, and raise support for what he cared about. Whether he was highlighting a small business or interviewing someone he admired, he used his talent and energy to uplift others. That's something I deeply admired about him, and it's something I hope to continue to carry forward in my own work. But if I'm honest, what I'll remember most is the food, because food was the main way he loved people. Each visit to Orlando included him cooking enough food to stock my refrigerator for days. He knew how much I missed good Filipino cooking, and he'd make all of my favorites in batches and put it in my refrigerator or freezer to enjoy. Every time I heated it, I could feel his love. The more I reflected on his life, the more I've realized all my favorite memories point to the same thing. He made people feel really cared for, seen, and important. And I don't know where he found the time, because I look at how many people he loved and how many of us he took care of, and it's shocking how he never made you feel like he was too busy. He always answered my calls on the first ring or texted me back in 5 minutes tops. Who does that? So many others have shared similar sentiments, and yet we never had to compete for his time. He was always available, always there for my mom, for Monique, for me, for James. And I know that he did that for so many people in this room. Kuya, thank you for showing us what it looks like to love people really well. for endlessly being in our corner. Thank you for bringing Monique into our lives, who is such a blessing, and now my sister forever. I miss you so much, your cooking, your kindness, your laughter, your warmth. We had so many more plans, and I'm heartbroken we won't get to see them through. But I will cherish and carry with me the memories we had. I love you, and I always will.
Before I ever met Koya Jove, I knew the word Koya. When Jamie and I first met in Tagalog class in college, I learned that Koya meant older brother. At that point, I understood the word academically, conceptually. I knew the translation, but I did not yet know the meaning. That changed when I met Koya Jove. I grew up with 5 sisters, so I never had an older brother. I didn't know what it felt like to have a Koya. Koya Jove became a big brother to me. He showed me what a real Koya was, someone who looks out for you, puts your needs ahead of his own, shares his wisdom, and always shows up when you need him most. Koya Jove was a fierce protector. Even before he met me, he was already looking out for Jamie. When she told him we were together, he warned her and said if I was ever mean to her, he was going to beat me up. Later at my and Jamie's wedding, after he had learned that I was fighting professionally in mixed martial arts, he reconsidered. He told Jamie, Jay, I actually don't think I'm going to be able to beat him up. If he gives you any trouble, good luck with that. I was Koya, fiercely protective, but also exceptionally quick-witted and playful. However, Koya had nothing to fear. As an overly protective brother with many sisters, Koya and I instantly realized we were of the same spirit, and we quickly bonded. Later that evening, he embraced me in the warmest hug and said, "We'll be brothers for life." And he meant it. There was sincerity in the way Koya Jove spoke. And when he welcomed me, I felt welcome. When he called me his family, I knew I was truly his family. A few years later, when Jamie and I came to New York for Comic-Con, Koya Jove picked us up. And with NYC traffic, this was no small task. I thanked him profusely for going out of his way to get us. And he responded by saying, of course he was going to get us. And just how happy he was to see us. Making time for us was a given for Koya. He and I bonded over Star Wars, anime, gaming, and everything else nerddom. That shared nerdiness became one of the languages of our brotherhood. And when Kuya came down to visit us in Orlando, we had the opportunity to take that shared love of Star Wars into the world of Star Wars itself. As Jamie already mentioned, Kuya was not much of a ride person, but Rise of the Resistance was not simply a ride. It feels as though you have stepped into the very Star Wars universe itself. When we were captured by an Imperial Star Destroyer and the hangar bay doors open to reveal an army of life-size stormtroopers, Kuya's eyes became enormous. I can still see the wonder on his face as he took everything in. He loved that experience, especially the life-size AT-ATs, or AT-ATs as Star Wars fans call them. For those not versed in Star Wars vernacular, AT-ATs are giant tank-like machines 72 feet tall. Afterward, we went to the cantina, and the Star Wars fan inside him was fully alive. He looked around with excitement in his eyes, absorbing every detail. We had finally arrived at the part of the theme parks designed specifically for Koya. Star Wars, refreshing drinks, good food, and best of all, air conditioning. But his excitement peaked when he learned that there was a shop where he could build his own lightsaber. Unfortunately, things were beginning to close, and we did not have enough time. We told him, we'll save that for your next visit. At the time, those words felt so ordinary. I never imagined there would not be a next visit. Kindness radiated through everything Koya did. He had a servant's heart, and his love was never merely spoken, it was felt. You felt it in the way he listened, welcomed, fed, and cared for you. He made people feel safe, not because he lacked intensity or conviction, but because his strength never made you feel small. His gentleness was not the absence of strength, it was strength made safe. This was one of the greatest gifts Koya Jove gave people, the feeling of being completely protected in his presence. That did not mean he was weak, passive, or without strong opinions. Koya Jove could be intense. but he never used that strength or his gifted intellect to dominate or diminish others. He created the rare kind of space where you could speak honestly and know that you would be heard. He could disagree with you without dismissing you. He could challenge an idea without making you feel ashamed for sharing it. He made you feel that your thoughts mattered because you mattered. Kuya Jove led with warmth and joy, but beneath that joy was a deeply sensitive and empathetic man. He felt things profoundly. I felt a special kinship with him because I also try to lead with warmth and joyful energy. But like Kuya, I also feel things very deeply beneath the surface. As a child and a young man, I had a fierce temper. When I shared some of my personal stories and trials with him, I was genuinely surprised when my seemingly calm and mild-mannered Kuya expressed that he had also felt that same intensity of anger at times in his life. I knew he was a protector, but I never knew just how great the fire was that burned inside him. He shared his own personal stories of difficult times and how it evoked strong feelings in him. He spoke honestly about how he had grown throughout his life and as a man, and he demonstrated to me how to channel deep feeling into serving, protecting, and showing up for people. That wisdom stayed with me. I learned to control my intense emotions and channel them in positive ways. Listening to all of the incredible speeches about Koya Jove, I consistently hear about his love, kindness, intelligence, humor, and exquisite culinary skills, but not as much about the fire and intensity. As I think carefully and reflect back on it, I realize those things Koya chose to reveal about himself to me were deeply personal. I now know the reason he did it is because he saw I was struggling, and he shared his own raw personal stories with me to teach and help me. I can confidently say I'm a kinder, gentler, more loving, and more servant-hearted man because of the example my Kuya set and the way he lived his life. Another aspect of Kuya Jove's character that I admired deeply was his creative and curious mind. He was a genuinely gifted writer, journalist, storyteller, and interviewer. He cared about stories, culture, community, and the ways people came to understand one another. That same ability to make people feel safe made him extraordinary at drawing out their thoughts and experiences. People could trust him with their stories because they knew he would listen without judging them, manipulating them, or reducing them to a label. We had many stimulating conversations about the world, people, and how big ideas expressed through carefully written thought can build bridges. Often when I talked with him, I would think, the world needs more voices like yours speaking up in it. For me personally, writing has always been one of my deepest passions, but through the years it is often pushed aside by other responsibilities and goals. However, this changed when I began writing a fantasy novel during COVID, though I have not always treated it as the priority it should be. My conversations with Kuya reminded me that the stories placed inside us matter. He has inspired me to finish mine. This past week, as I was consumed by grief and tears, I wrote Kuya Jove into my fictional story as a permanent character. In that world, he is still a joyful man with a warm smile and a gift for making food that brings people together. He is kind, gentle, selfless, a strong protector, and capable of making even the hardest hearts soften and smile. Someday, when God willing, I finish and others read that story, they will get to experience a small reflection of the man I was blessed to call my Kuya. He will always have a place there. Kuya Jove loved us all extraordinarily well, but Monique, he loved you most of all. You are the great love of his life. You are his beloved, his partner, and his home. Before you, Kuya Jove was already a great man, but with you, he truly became the strongest and best version of himself. You completed him. When I had the honor of officiating your wedding, I spoke about love, the selfless, courageous love that seeks the good of the person it cares about. Kuya Jove did not merely speak about that kind of love, he lived it. And nowhere was that more evident than in the way he loved you. In the Bible, Jesus tells us that a husband and wife become one flesh. The love you and Jove shared shaped you both, and death cannot erase it. Monique, if I had the opportunity to speak with Kuya Jove one last time, I'm sure, knowing him, that the number one thing he would care about is that you are always taken care of and loved. I would tell him that he can rest easy, knowing that you will always be loved, cherished, and supported by us. You will never have to face this difficult road alone, and like Jamie said, you are our sister for life. Our home is your home. Whenever you need rest from work, family time, or an escape, our door is always open to you. I once thought Koya simply meant older brother. Koya Jove taught me that it means so much more. It means warmth, it means wisdom, it means gentleness and protection, it means loving others with a servant's heart. Koya, You told me that we would be brothers for life. You kept that promise, and I will carry the love, wisdom, and example you gave me for the rest of mine. Mahal kita, Kuya Jof. Thank you for being the big brother I never had.
Next up, we would like to have my brother's godmother, Tita Grace.
Hello, is it? I am, I'm just Ninang. I'm just Ninang Grace, and my Auntie Angie or Auntie Tita Nancy, Joe's mom, blessed me with a tremendous gift of choosing me to be Joe's second mom. When I lived in California when Joe was born in the Philippines. So at first I was only able to see him through his cutest baby photos until up to the time when he was 7. But in 1994, we took a trip to the Philippines for my husband's first time there and to introduce Pete to my family. It was there then I finally met Joff in person, and it was such a treat. I didn't expect to meet such an adorable and precocious 7-year-old little boy. He came up right away to me and said, "Hi, Nina. I heard that you and Nino are English speaking. I'm English speaking too." He went on to ask if his Nino knew how to speak Tagalog, and then when I told him that he didn't, he said, "Oh, don't worry. I'll speak to him in English so that he can understand me." Right then, I knew that he had my heart and that we would be buddies forever. During Jeff's preteen years, he started sharing samples of his writing to me, and I was always in awe of his talent. Later on, while he was in high school and in college, he would send me copies of his essays, articles, and stories that he had written and were then published in newspapers and magazines. And he always asked me, "Are you proud of me, Nina?" I better understood why he felt so deeply and was so passionate about his interests and in people. He had a budding, creative, and caring spirit. When Joff and his family briefly moved to California before they moved to New York, I would take him and Jomi along with his cousins to amusement parks. And I could see that he didn't really enjoy the faster thrill rides as much as his brother and his cousins did. So he would often say, "I'll just sit here and wait with you, Nina." It was during those precious few moments of waiting with him that I found out how much of a deep thinking, emotionally intelligent, and loving young man that Joff was turning into. He was very inquisitive, and he was genuinely interested in others. He didn't just ask about himself, but he also listened, which is hard for many men. he, wait, I lost my place. He, he, he didn't just talk about himself, and he took interest in me as a person, not just as a gift giving Ninang who would take him to fun places. He would ask me grown up questions about my chosen profession and ask me if I had any regrets about the decisions I've made in my life. The conversations we had were often deep and meaningful, but we also loved to have fun together. As Angels season ticket holders, we took him to Angels baseball games, and it was there that he discovered his love for baseball. And for a while, he cheered and rooted for the Angels along with me until he became a Yankees fan. But even as a Yankee fan, he still wore his Angels baseball gear whenever he would come and visit his ninang in California just to make me happy. Through the years, when he was off from school, he would spend summer vacations with us. And I could see that his TV viewing interests were not just limited to the Laker and Yankee games or sci-fi or action movies, but he also enjoyed watching the cooking shows on Food Network. The foodie in him started to emerge, and I very much welcomed the blossoming of his new passion. We started watching cooking competitions together, and we were hooked on the show Top Chef, starting in season 1. But he wasn't just glued to watching TV when he was spending summers with us. He would also offer to help take care of my dad, who was showing signs of Parkinson's disease, as well as watch his little cousin, who was then a little cousin, Jamie, so that his Ninong and I could run errands. Jove had the ability to connect with people of all ages. He would take the time to play with his younger cousins as easily as he would share stories with his grandparents and his aunts and uncles. One year, he took a week off from work to take me and my friend sightseeing around New York. He drove us not just within the city, but also to Long Island and to the Hamptons. He took random candid photos of us, would joke about the photos, and then feed us. Not very many 30-something-year-old men would hang out with a bunch of 50-something-year-old titas for a whole week and genuinely look like he was having a great time. He was a wonderful host, and he always had such a welcoming spirit. Joff often called and updated me of his latest experiences and accomplishments, but he was never as excited as he was to tell me about Monique. He was giddy and nervous the day he called me, but very eager for me to meet her. I could tell from the sound of his voice that Monique was the one. I teased him and said, "So this means that you won't have much time for your ninang anymore?" But he told me, "No, on the contrary. Monique is beautiful and she is a doctor, but she is so down to earth, and you are going to love her," which I found out to be true as soon as I met her. I'm so grateful that Monique, you and Jeff have found each other, because it was with you that I have the happiest I've ever seen Joff. A few days before Joff passed away, he told me that his job was taking a toll on his physical and mental health. He was looking to do something different, something that he could be passionate about. I told him to do whatever he felt was best and that he would have my support as long as it brought him joy. He told me that he wanted us to plan a trip to Hawaii together, since he was planning on quitting his job and that he would have more free time. He then said that since the winner of the season's Top Chef is the contestant we were rooting for, we should go to Hawaii together because Hawaii is my favorite place. My Totoy, even in the midst of his own personal internal struggles, was still thinking of what would make me happy, always putting others before himself. Josa, I love you so much, and I will miss how much you always checked up on your Nina. I thank God for the blessing that you have been to so many who have met you. And I pray that your kind and sweet spirit may inspire all of us to love with no bounds, to make everyone feel welcome, and to live selflessly.
Not least.
I'm Monique, Joff's wife. Joff is a special kind of person, someone I would say is heaven sent and out of this world. We met during the pandemic in June 2020, on the first day of the last month of my intern year. He confidently started our conversation on coffee meets bagel with, "Hi, Monique. I'm Joff," with a kiss emoji. "I'm guessing you speak Tagalog. I'm Pinoy." He later on tells me, after a lot of conversation, he tells me, "I love food. My tummy is good reference." He asked me how I like my coffee at some point, to which I answered, "Cold brew with half and half," and asked me what Filipino food I'd want to eat. And I told him that I miss Bicol Express. He went to his friend Nicole Ponseca's restaurant, Jeepney, in the city, and got so many extra freebies from her. As he pulled up his car, I recall just staring at the passenger window and wondering, am I really going out with this guy in a man bun? I strategically decided to see him before a shift on night float, so I could have an excuse to leave when I had to. He brought so much food on our date at the park and insisted that I keep all the leftovers. Before my shift, I went up to my apartment with two venti cold brews from Starbucks and stared at my